it's Bharon Hoyt again with OneChiropractic, and this is our second session with Dr. Richard Barwell, who I'm calling the godfather of neurological-based chiropractic. And so today, we're going to kind of start this process of digging in to what it is that we're doing with this series. And so we shared with you last time that the intent of this webinar series, or sessions, if you will, is to provide an updated principles based on the current evidence that will enrich and empower the potential of the chiropractic profession. So Dr. Barwell, I understand, a little bit about this process. Obviously, I'm a little biased as I've been through this process with you multiple times, but kind of share with me, where does this whole thing start for you?
Well, it all started with back when I was getting results in my practice that weren't answered by the teaching of bone on nerve. That there was all sorts of results I was getting doing something outside of that was still in chiropractic scope. So I had to start looking around. And when I did, I found out that there was some errors in the theory that we had with chiropractic, and so therefore it took revisiting the principles and taking a look at it. And when I even challenged, I said, current principles, and people in chiropractic are very attached to the principles of chiropractic, and I understand that. I've been around a long time. I'm attached to them as well. But when I realized that some of the information wasn't accurate based on new science that we were getting, we had to go back and revisit it. And I suggested that we need to take a look at the principles and maybe adapt some new principles. Well, that caused an uproar. That alienated me from a huge section of the profession that are very attached to our philosophy. And believe me, we need our philosophy, because the job of the philosophy is to differentiate chiropractic from medicine. That was the job of the whole philosophy. So we didn't go to jail for practicing medicine without a license. Right. However, here's the thing about changing the basic principles. It came from BJ. And people that are so attached to it and think that it's heresy to even suggest it, you need to listen to what BJ said. He said, "He who seeks truth and factual progress for the development of mankind is a breaking plow. He denies and ignores stagnant customs and traditions. His task is to liberate man's mind and body from the limitations of old principles by introducing new principles with greater possibilities." And to me, even today when I do this, I get goosebumps, because he left us with a charge to saying, no, you cannot leave chiropractic stagnant. You need to develop it, and you need to have the courage to come back and say, we need to change some of our concepts. And so this came out, look at the time, 1957. I was at chiropractic college when BJ passed away, and we sort of lost our footing. And we lost our footing in more than one direction, because there's some other things that started to happen. But at any rate, we needed to change some of the principles. So let's just take a slide through here, because I want to make a point about this. I love this slide. It's the flat earth theory. And the thing that gets me about the flat earth theory is, today, we have a regeneration going on out there with conspiracy theorists that believe that the earth is flat. It's coming back. You sort of go like, what has happened to the critical thinking of mankind today? It's not a flat earth. It's round. We know that. We can navigate all over the universe because we finally understand those kind of things. And just think what we can navigate throughout chiropractic if we can just change the theory that vertebral subluxation and nerve root pressure is the foundation of chiropractic, that's it. That's all it is. I hold that it's much more than that. Much, much more. If you want to change to the next slide.
Well, yeah, but let me make one comment on that, because I agree with you. We have got to realize it's more than that, but we've also got to accept, for the other end of the spectrum, right? We've got extremists on both ends. We've got, what we call the hate straights, and then we got the people that have just given up on the adjustment completely because this vertebral subluxation is a myth and dogma and all that kind of stuff. And so they've just thrown the baby out with the bathwater, saying, they'll agree with you, we haven't been able to prove it, but screw it all, because that doesn't exist. And we've got to bring them back in to say, but wait a minute, but there is still significant power in the adjustment. And there's still significant power in the basis of those people that believe vertebral subluxation was the core in the entity, right? But so we've got to bring them both in on this and not let either one of them go to an extreme to throw everything away.
So here's the bottom line on that. The vertebral subluxation and nerve root pressure is a challenge. It's been a challenge from day one, but the power of the adjustment still makes differences to people's lives on an extreme level. So the vertebral subluxation exists, and it's our gateway to changing neurological function. It's the power that we have to really get in and stimulate central nervous system changes via the adjustment, and the vertebral subluxation in its existence is our gateway, not our cause.
Right, exactly.
Matter of fact,
that's
it's
the
a symptom
distinction.
or a sign.
Yep.
So all of this holds true. The vertebral subluxation exists. It's important in chiropractic. It's just we need to shift a little bit to understand something. And we're going to get there in this series of talking exactly how this all sort of takes place and how it fits together. And that's the key. We need to back up from both sides in this profession and start taking a look at what really brings us together rather than what separates us. Because we have the power with this information that's now out, with the neurologically based approaches, the research that's been done to unite this profession like it's never been united in the past, ever. And all of the stuff works. All the adjustments, all the art, all of the science, all of the philosophy fits together stronger than it's ever been done before. But it calls for a new perspective. It means you have to have the opportunity to stop and think and look at the information and say, wait a minute, what if this is right? What if this works? How does this affect me? Does this change what I'm doing in my practice? It may change it a bit, but only for the better, because you can be much more specific as to the specific needs of that patient you're dealing with. So the challenge in change lies more in letting go of an old theory that was, and that's a key word there, it was a theory. It wasn't a fact, it was a theory. And we existed for many years, thank goodness for the theory, to keep us alive. Mm-hmm. But the theory was taught as truth without any proof to be correct. And if you believe in something that has no actual foundation to it, but you continue to believe in it, it's called dogma. And part of our profession, and this is, listen, I'm part of this. I spent 32 years in practice teaching vertebral subluxation bone on nerve. And I'm part of the challenge here that had to change to say, wait a minute, if I had a different story, I could add more power to who I am and what we do. So the unproven theory became the foundation of the profession, and chiropractic became synonymous with vertebral subluxation and nerve root pressure. There's the first step that we had, because it focused us then on a mechanical issue, and we became spinal mechanics.
It's crazy, isn't it, looking back?
It really is. And it happened so innocently. We really thought we were doing what we needed to be doing. Because we didn't have anything else.
Well, right, and what was happening at the time was exactly what was supposed to be happening, right? I mean, that with the amount of knowledge that the profession had at the time, that is where we were at. The issue is we are comfortable in what we know and understand. And then there's some kind of rite of passage, or there's some kind of sanctity to holding true to the old way, right? I mean, in today's world, we just feel good about ourselves. We get in our little circles and we say, you know, we're you know, the BJ disciples, and we cling to a portion of what BJ taught. You know, because I love that previous slide, you know, where BJ said that, you know, at some point you need to get rid of old principles and create new principles with the new information at hand. And we want, it's kind of like reading scripture. We want to kind of push those things out that don't fit with our understanding, rather than actually adapting our understanding to fit the truth. Yeah. And that does need to happen, and it needs to happen quick.
Yep, absolutely. This is part of the thing that's starting to sweep the profession. And I talk around the world. I do presentations on neurologically based chiropractic around the world. I do everything from 2 hours to 12 hours. You know, I speak at universities on this stuff, and there's a movement afoot. People are starting to understand this. You know who understands it more than chiropractors? Patients.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Well, listen, so the purpose of this particular one was to start with the mental understanding that we've got to change the principles of what's going on. In our next session, Dr. Barwell is going to start actually digging in a little bit deeper into this new concept and idea. So we hope you're enjoying these sessions. Be ready tomorrow. We're going to send you another copy, and we want you to just keep going through this process, right? We're going to keep sending them to you as we keep producing them. We want this to be part of your mental absorption through the day. And then as you start getting into more of these these sessions, you're going to start finding yourself changing your communication when you go into your office, not only with your patients, but with your colleagues and with your spouse and with your family. Your understanding of why we do what we do as a profession becomes so magnificent, right? It becomes such a clarity, a light bulb will go on as we go through this process. So don't give up on us. We're excited to continue to go through this journey. Dr. Barwell, as always, thank you so much for your time. And everybody, we'll see you in the next session.